Good morning from Yami TV, sending plenty of love your way as usual. Now, this video is a part one, as my memory and head seems to be getting remarkably clearer. Thank you all for your support during these last 2 weeks. Now, we say funny fights, right? But we do mean it from a prison, dark, funny side of humour point of view to make sure we get that clear on Yami TV, because after all, in the heat of battles, really, where somebody can get hurt, it's not really that funny, but it is funny how some of the outcomes can unfold before your very eyes. So like I said, we'll do a part one. And the first one, I never used to understand it, right? Swellside was really renowned for this one when battles were going to happen on the concourse or exercise yard, or when you were preparing for what was going to be a definite fight. Loads of men used to tape themselves up with books around their bodies, right? Which obviously means that the chances of you getting hurt by a stab wound into the front of the body area, and of course taping up around the back as well, will probably save you from injuries in those departments. But on one such a day, my mind changed to it all just a little bit. It wasn't something that I did too frequently, if you get what I mean. I remember when they were asking me to do it once, and I said, listen, I ain't going through that, precisely because of this incident, what I saw here. And the geezer comes out, right? He's taped up and he's completely prepared. He's got his weapons and everything. And he steps out onto the exercise yard, and the geezer that he's going to war with is walking towards him. So he's obviously feeling comfortable, but I don't think it dawned on him on the one thing that could go wrong, or whether he had a way that he believed that he could protect that part of things. So the first thing the man walking towards him did was stab him straight through his head. So, like I always say, all right, you could, outside they wear their bulletproof vest and all that, but after all, the head, the face and all that, there's not really no protection. And it's not like in prison, you could make things without making yourself look really, really hot by putting stuff on your head and your face, because by the time you walk out onto the exercise yard, the screws are going to pull you up as to why you're dressing or looking in that way. So that was one of the reasons. It's a funny side of humour, not funny for the person that got stabbed in his head, but ultimately the head and the face doesn't hold many bulletproof or stab-proof ways of protecting itself. So that fight ended very, very quickly, sad to say, right? The second one was, this one took place in Albany way back in the day as well, right? And it was a guy that I knew, and he's from West London, right? Birdie. But he was good stuff, right? Now, he was having a ding-dong with a geezer, and it was going on all day until it reached the evening. My friend was saying, I don't care, I'm going to get him, I'm going to burn him up with fat, I'm going to burn him up with hot water, blah, blah, blah. So everybody was in on this fight that was going to take place during association. So, but we was all backing our friend, and others were trying to lead the geezer that he was going to fight with down the stairs and talk to him so that he could get. So the geezer was calling him from a distance, saying to him, yeah, I'm ready now. Why? What are you saying? And Bernie was going, yeah, come. He had the hot water already in a jug with sugar in it, like he was trying to draw him near so that he could pull the jug round, and as he got closer, tried to pull it. So as he got closer anyway, he picks up the jug of water, but the other fella started backing off. But the only thing was, he started to spill the water as he was going towards him, trying to get a clean hit. So with the water on the floor, he ended up slipping on the floor. The geezer started to get on top of him, but we kind of got in the way and made sure not a lot of damage was done. But these are the things that can go wrong during all the best planning in the world. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go according to plan, especially with the fear factor as well, when you're doing such things, and the other man's fear of what you might be thinking or what you might be doing. Some fights don't really go according to plan. Could be handbags at dawn sometimes, if you get what I mean. Now, what was another? I was going to give you 3 of those. Oh, of course. We're in Swellside, right? First thing in the morning, I knew a geezer from Kilburn. His name was Stanley. I really liked him, right? And they had a cooking boat of about 4 men, cooking, Caribbean food every night. Blah, blah. But two sides of the 4-man partnership fell out overnight over whose dinner was, I think it was over, not being funny, but I think I remember that when they were cooking up the chicken, the person doing the cooking that night for the whole boat, food boat, right, gave one of the others the chicken, but they call it the chicken batty, right? And what that means is, in Jamaican terms, sorry if I got this wrong, but as far as I remember, when they give you the chicken batty, it means they're giving it to you because you talk too much or whatever. It's like a lingo kind of slang, right? So, but the geezer wasn't really feeling it. He worked out what they did to him, right? So, whatever it tastes like, that part of the chicken, I can't really remember. I don't think I've tried it, right? So, in the morning, it's unlocked and it's gone off. Now, the two geezers are fighting, but it's like handbags at dawn. And then the other party, who was friends with the other one, came with a pot, like a Dutch pot, and started to hit him. But he wasn't really hitting him really hard. He was like going, ting, and all he could hear was conk, 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 conk. So this other geezer was trying to fight with the other geezer, but obviously the fight's in a bit of disarray. So my friend, Stanley, comes into it and is trying to part it a little bit because they're all on the same boat, and he grabs the geezer, like, good willingly, trying to pull it apart. And then this punch, right, that the other man threw, it was the longest punch in prison history. It came from over there. Obviously, they wasn't proper fighters, right? And it came all the way over there. And as he was moving him out the way, it caught Stanley and it went bang straight in his face. But I was on it in a flash. We was all there at that time, right? But I didn't want him because he looked like he was about to fall. So, me being the way that I am, I didn't want him to suffer the fate of falling on the floor. So I quickly grabbed him and held him up, and he was like stunned. I could feel his body a little bit limp, and he was going, "What you do?" You know, he's trying to talk, but obviously he was out the game. But it was kind of funny because he wasn't really fighting and basically got a stray punch that would have knocked him out. So these are the kind of scenarios that can happen in prison. But then this morning's part one, I'm saying to you, obviously, sad to say, that the funniest fight, I suppose, would go down to me, really. And it happened with Ovi. You remember Ovi, right? Ovi was my partner in crime, and I told this story about 1.5 years ago and got thousands of views. And it is funny in a way because we got a job to do by way of a hit, me and Ovi. And then Giz, we was doing it, we didn't really want to hurt him, but because we got the payment, we was thinking, all right, we'll give him a few kicks and punches kind of thing. So we got up into the video room, association room, right, where the pool table is. And we're debating on the way upstairs because Ovi's bigger than me, but obviously I'm faster and I'm a bit, not saying that Ovi ain't clever, but I'm trying to piece it together about which role we're going to play. Because my answer was that I'll grab him, Ovi, you're the heavier puncher, you hit him, right? But really, it should have been him grabbing him because he got the weight and everything. But I don't know. Either way, couldn't really balance it out that morning, right? So as soon as I got in there, I bear hugged this geezer, right? Ovi's lining it up, and it's a packed room as well. And I lifted him up like that. But as I lifted him up to think, Ovi went bang and knocked me down onto the floor, right? A lot of people, it was a funny one because, as usual, I wasn't knocked out, but I looked at him and I said to Ovi, I know I've told this one before, but it got to go down the list. Me, that has to be the funniest one in that way. But obviously there's bigger fights that were funny. We'll get round to those. But when I was on the floor, I went, you stupid idiot. Like, he goes, sorry. You know what Ovi's like. We got back up and we still done a couple of little things, right? And then as we was walking down the stairs, we was walking back with the geezer that gave us the hit to do, right? So we're walking, and I'm not going to say that I did that next. It's not important. The important thing was that I got hit by my mate, basically, and I was on the floor. So those were the funny ones. Now, that dangerous fight with serious fight, one of the first like big fights that I saw way back in the day. Now, we were somewhere a geezer from my area called Batman and a geezer called from East London called Rahman, right? They had a little catch up, but Rahman was about 5'4" and Batman was about 6 foot odd and built like a tank, but a very humble man, doesn't really start and trouble anyone, right? So they caught up in a ding dong and argument. Rahman said, listen, don't do you remember? It could have been over cards, it could have been over puff, I don't know. But they've gone and decided to go into the cell. But obviously, I'm a homeboy to the Labatt Grove boy, which is Batman. But I liked Rahman as well. I didn't really want it to go on. But I can remember me, George Constantino, I think Colin McIntyre, Spencer, I think we was all in Wayland at that time, right? And we're all into the doorway. And they're fighting for a minute. But Batman is stronger and bigger. But the little guy Rahman was fighting for his life, right? It's gone on and on and on, right? Glass has been broke. Bang, right? Everything seemed to miss Batman by inches, right? So Rahman's down, got back up. Batman got a couple as well where he might have been wobbling. But Rahman picked up a stick, a broomstick, and went whack, and it missed his head by inches. He was blood all over his face, but he was still fighting. I was going, this is going to be messy. This looks like a crime scene. We was trying to come out the doorway thinking, boy, we don't want to get no blood on this, right? So it's eventually Batman. This fight, I think, was one of the longest that I ever seen, right? It must have gone on for like 5, 6, 7 minutes with nobody giving in until Batman, he had him down on the bed. But I don't think it was a conclusive end. And I think, no, it couldn't have been a conclusive end, right? So I think in the end it got, but obviously Batman, we'd seen that Batman, it's not important who got the win, right? What they had to do, because Batman had a couple of cuts in that as well, but I'll never forget, Rahman was a brave little kid, you know. He come out, they didn't call no screws or nothing, but he had to go healthcare, and he came back with all the bandages around his face and still come back on the wing. And Batman and thinking that it got sorted, but that's what could happen in those fights. And none of them were really boxing champions and all that. But in the heat of battle and survival, these fights are pretty regular in prison where nobody's giving an inch. And from whatever you're throwing, if you're not knocking someone out, if someone's fighting back and fighting for their life and using weapons or throwing punches or trying to get back into it and thinking really well to try and get the win and try and get rid of you, it can very, 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 and often is very, very hard to get an easy result. So I'll be up later on as well. Sending loads of love.